we are going to record this. This is something that is quite useful for you guys that doing research, looking up articles, and using a variety of different resources at the university. So I guess if you guys settle, we'll start in a minute. But again, I'll distribute this thing. You don't need to wait for signing. Just go see it. I'll distribute. I'll pass it around if you need to sign it. So. I'm trying to find the flyer. I forgot to print it. So just a quick introduction, all right, guys. So we have two people. Let's get started. Again, I'll distribute this thing to you guys if you missed the sign. And so today we have two amazing folks from the library. Who has heard from John Napp in the past? How long you been here? A year? You've been here 1 year, and you heard from John at our seminars.
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. The same applies. I'm like, how come that's possible? Because we did this thing before pandemic, and that batch of students are already gone. Like they're working, they're not in Toledo anymore. So I thought maybe this is a good opportunity for the new students. We haven't heard from them in the last several years. To have John and basically Dr. Lee. So I'm going to basically make a quick introduction. So Dr. John Napp has been in the engineering librarian since 2001, and he has over 30 years of experience basically helping engineers in industry and academia. So I hope that he doesn't mind in case if you have a question about certain articles, certain things, to reach out to Dr. Napp about basically those kind of things. That's going to be followed by Dr. Lee. He's been at the university for almost basically 15, 20 years now. And he's going to talk about a lot of things related to the EndNote and how you can basically utilize that yourself. So this has been recorded. It's going to be posted through the links in the Blackboard. And you can always go back to basically search for certain things that you might be interested. So with that, I guess, John, the floor is yours. Thank you.
So what I'll start talking about is Google Scholar. So this is it's by the same people that brought us Google, but this is this will help you find scholarly literature. So journal articles, research kind of academic publications, and it ranks documents, provides full text. So it's, if you do a search in just regular Google, you'll get all kinds of non-academic things. So Google Scholar is more, it's closer to one of our databases, and we'll go right to it here, hopefully. Okay, so this is the interface for it. Now, there's some features that you can use to make it act even more like one of our databases if you sign in here. So let's see if I can do this.
This part is good to do, especially if you're using it from off campus, because if you set up these features when you're signed into your account, no matter where you use Google Chrome or Google Scholar, when you're signed in, you can convince it that you're a University of Toledo affiliated user, and it will turn on more things no matter where you're logging in from.
Oh, great. Okay.
I can sign in if you like, because I don't have the authentication turned on. So.
I guess I didn't realize that I did. To sign in.
Yep.
John, quick question.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, so is it necessary to log in for using that, or?
Only if you want to use the features that we're going to show you as soon as we get logged in. You can use it without it, but this is just a way to.
So apparently it's like UT, it's now enforcing two-factor authentication. So I think you can just show them without, it just won't be safe. So.
Okay, so if you are able to log in, there is you can go to this My Library, and what it'll do is give you, like, you can type in Toledo then, and it'll give you a choice of like the Toledo Public Library, University of Toledo, and then if you check those boxes, then when you do the search, it'll tell you if those articles are available through one of either the public library or UT. So then that way it'll act more like our databases as far as locating articles. So if we just go back to Google here and we type in so you see the results there. These are coming from academic publishers, and it's showing the citations. So this is showing you that this article was cited by 192 other articles, and if we click on one of these, it's taking you to the publisher website, and here you can download the PDF. You got an abstract of the article and references. And it's giving you a link to how to cite the article. So it's giving you a citation there that you could copy and paste into your publication.
Also, at this point, in many of our databases, if you ever see something that says download citation, at the end, I'm going to talk to you about EndNote, which is a separate piece of software that helps you manage your citations. It basically creates a desktop database of all of your citations that you can attach full text to. So if you ever see something that says download citation, go ahead and click on that, John. Then that file format RIS, if you have EndNote installed, will automatically import that directly into your EndNote database. So there's a couple standard formats that it'll recognize, and so usually when you download, it'll automatically just throw it into your EndNote database. So.
And then there, you can also limit your search to a certain range of dates. So if you're, in your searches, you're finding a lot of older articles, you only want newer ones, you can, limit it to whatever range of dates you're looking for here just by typing them in there. And then also, yeah, there's including patents. So if that's something you're interested in, you can click on that and get patent information.
Can you guys hear back there? you guys hear back there? Yeah. John, I cannot hear you.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, so I'm just saying right here, you can limit the range of dates. So if you're doing a search and you're only wanting to find things published in the last few years, you can enter a range of dates in there to limit your search. And then also here, there's a box where you can include patents in your search. So if that's something that you're interested in, you could check that box and get patent information if it's available for your search. So that's basically Google Scholar. If we go back to here, next thing I wanted to talk about is Web of Science. This is one of our databases that UT subscribes to. Yep.
quick question, John. Before you move away from Google Scholar,
Mhm.
do you mind showing how you can basically set the notification for a particular person? Because let's say you're working on a given area and there's basically a PI in a university that is working in that area. So you need to be aware of what kind of basically articles they are publishing. So I find it myself very useful to basically set the notification so I get an automatic email when they publish something just recently on that topic. So if you can show that, that perhaps could be useful.
If you click on my profile,
To get this.
yeah, I think we would need to log in to do that because it needs to know where to email it. But if you click on where it says my profile, then you can search for a name. It will bring up Google Scholar profiles that match that name. And then once you're looking at someone's profile, I think that's where you set the alert. So, so a Google Scholar profile is kind of like someone's CV. Can list all of the papers in Google Scholar that have been claimed by that particular author. And so, and Google will just assign papers to you that way. So I have a profile of myself, but if you click on my profile, then you can search other people's profile. I wonder if you search in Google Scholar just for a name, whether I think it also will put the profiles up at the top, even if you don't have it. So try, I guess, do Wadley Smith, just because I know I have one. So you can see up at the top, I've just searched for a name and it says user profiles for. And then when you click on that, you have a follow button. And that's how, when new things get added to that person's profile, you will get notifications of new work. So like you said, if there's a group that you're following because they're working in similar areas, you can go to the PIs for that group or the researchers that you know are in that group and follow them. And that way, as soon as Google knows that they've got something new out, they'll know as well.
So, like I said, Web of Science is a subscription database that UT has. Goes back as far as 1965 up to the present. It covers all areas of science, which includes engineering. So it's useful for engineering because it covers all areas. So this is Web of Science, and it's going to let me sign in here. I can do the same thing.
So it's useful to sign up for accounts on databases because for that very purpose of alerting you to new things. So just like in Google Scholar, if you're signed in, it will remember your previous sessions, so you can see a search history for more than just today's searches. So if you want to go back to something you searched before, it will also make it easy to follow certain papers or certain researchers. And the email address that you use to sign up for Web of Science is actually the same one that you can use for EndNote. So the company Clarivate owns both products. So if you've already got an EndNote account, you've already got a Web of Science account as well. You can use the same sign in for both things.
All right, so we can enter our search topic in this box right here, and so I'm doing a search under inspect inspired design. This is a search I did for a graduate student some years ago, which had some interesting results, I thought. So you can see we've got the search terms that we used highlighted in yellow, so we know kind of why it's put those results in our results. And we got the title of the article first, and then there's an abstract. Now, one of the things with this database that is useful is this section called citation topics. If you click here or see all, you get this list and it's a pretty long list of all of the topics that are in the search that we just did. And you can see some things in here like entomology and soil science, forestry, zoology. Those probably are not things that you're interested in as a engineering graduate student. So maybe you're interested, robotics works and mechanics. And so then we can say refine with that. And so we've gone from 800 and some articles down to 147. So that's a way of narrowing your search down. And there's also in here, you can limit your search to just the most recent things. And now we're down to 27. Also, if you're doing a search and you're coming up with things in languages that you can't read, you can limit it, but these are all in English, so I'm not gonna worry about that. And then you've got this we'll find it button next to it. And if you click on that, in any of these citations, it will go out and look and see if we have this available in full text. And this one is available through the IEEE. I have to sign into that again, but anyway, that's just going to bring up the article on the publisher's website. And it's going to sign in. Maybe. So anyway, these are, now the other thing I'll point out are these on this, on the side here where it says references 44. So that means that this article has 44 references in the article. Now the citations, that means that there's 2 other articles that have cited this particular article. And like this one has 10. And so what that can do is, tell you that 10 other people thought this was this was a good enough article that they wanted to cite it in their own research. So that's that could be useful information to you. And you can even limit your search to so you can limit your search to the things that have been cited the most. And that can tell you that these are articles that other researchers have found important, but the only caution with that is that it could be something that's really a really great article that was cited. I mean, it was published recently and hasn't been cited yet.
I have a question.
Sure.
With Web of Science, is it possible to have the access to the profile of the author? For example, for Google Scholar, where when you open the name, the author that you are looking for, you're sure that all the articles are for that main person. But for example, when you're looking in the Web of Science, when I apply for example, only the filter for the author, sometimes at the end of the search, for example, out of 80 articles in that search, and when I pass 60 of them, most of the time I saw that there are some other authors with different, a little, middle name that has applied. Is it possible that I can see and make sure that I have the access to the exact person, or should I just look for it and download the paper?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Dr. E, can you repeat the question so that people online and for recording, we know what was the question?
So the question was about finding all of the papers by a certain author in Web of Science. And what Web of Science does is, if I go back to the beginning here and look by researchers, so I'm going to do a little vanity project and use my own name, just because I know there's multiple researchers with similar names. What will happen is that it will try to combine researchers together, even if they use different names. So, and then it's going to tell you underneath them, so there's Wade Emily and Wade Ailey. It'll tell you where they are affiliated with. This will help to put them together. When people move around, even if they have multiple affiliations, if they are publishing in the same area, they will be algorithmically combined together. Now you can go in and claim your profile. That's what the little check mark here next to mine means, which means that I've gone in and tried to make sure that I verified my record and make sure everything is there. So whether the author does that or not, they're going to be put together with similar authors based on their email address, their institution, and the types of journals that they publish in. Because I publish with a lot of people in medicine and I publish in library science, sometimes it thinks I'm 2 different people and I have to tell it that I'm the same person. But otherwise, this would be the best way to do it. And if I go down here, you can see all of my documents. And you can also open these in the database itself. So, so that's a good way. That's also where you can create an alert for those authors. So the next time something gets added to that profile, again, you can be alerted to that. So thanks for that question. They do it automatically. But yes, if you are in a specific paper and click on the author, you will only find other papers where that author was listed. Sometimes it'll instead take you to their profile. That way it'll, if they have one, that way it'll try to pull together all of the different variant names. So.
Question, so I'm not sure, are you guys planning to talk about this ORCID basically? Because that's another very unique identifier.
Right, so if we go to my profile, you can see that in it, in addition to the number that has been assigned to me by Web of Science, I have also linked in my ORCID profile to that. And ORCID is basically a public number. It's not a private one like your Social Security or your rocket number. It's a public number that is a unique identifier for you. You can sign up for one just by going to orchid.org. And you will be required to sign up for them to submit to certain journals, to submit to certain granting agencies. They're going to require that because I always say my last name is Lee, so there are millions of Koreans, Chinese people, and Americans that all share the last name Lee. And so to distinguish me from the other ones, I can just use this number instead. And so in the same way that Web of Science, Claravit, has their own proprietary profile for you, your ORCID is kind of a public profile that can work between systems. So I can put this number in my Google Scholar profile, I can put it here, I can list it in my email signature, and that way people will always be able to go and find just my publications.
I just wanted to tell you, you guys aren't sharing your screen on the online presentation, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Is it your teams?
What was the question, sorry?
It is not sharing it to the WebEx.
Colleagues on the online presentation, they are sharing the screen.
We were sharing the screen.
And I'm not
So
sure.
while they're checking that, I want to add one thing. So if you're new to research and you're just publishing, I highly recommend using this ORCID ORCID number. Just create that, and when you're submitting a manuscript or it's about to publish, and make sure that you include that in that publication. And later on, you're going to take, when you end up having so many articles, it's very easy to basically populate the list of the articles using that. If you're applying for a grant, applying for different things, it's very, very useful having that ORCID number. Make sure that you have that and include that when you're publishing a paper.
Some publications automatically upload it into the article into ORCID, into your ORCID profile once you published it, so it goes in there automatically sometimes. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, it's just sharing the screen there. So.
Yeah, I think there was an open dialog box from sharing from the web rather than from the application that we didn't see.
So, all right, so I had signed into this database, and the reason why I did that is okay, yeah, this is the profile that Web of Science does for you. And there's also here is save searches and alerts. That's what I was looking for. All right, so if you are wanting to find out when something that you're, so these are some things that I've worked on that I want to find out if somebody has cited me. So I've listed my articles in there and saying that I want to find out when this article was has been cited. You can do that for articles that aren't yours that you want to find out if they've cited it. And you'll get an email saying, this article was just published that has cited this article that you're interested in. You can also have just do author alerts, so find out anytime a particular researcher has published something, you can go in there and have an alert for that. And then you can also, if you're working on your thesis or your dissertation and you want to find out, you've done a search on what is that insect-inspired, design, and you want to find out anytime somebody has done there's new citations coming up in that search, you'll get notices of that too. So that rather than having to go into the database on a regular basis and do searches, Web of Science will do that for you and just send you alerts anytime something comes up. It would appear in that search. So that can be useful as well. And that happens if you sign up for an account with Web of Science. It's free, and so there's some useful features that you can get out of Web of Science that way. Do you want to talk about EndNote now, or do you want to?
I will show you, we had mentioned earlier that when you see a download citation button, that you can go and download it right from there. Because Web of Science and EndNote are owned by the same company, if you click on export here, you'll see the top two options are to export it to EndNote, either EndNote Online or EndNote on your desktop. And so on other databases, you might see export to BibTeX or RIS. Those are two formats that EndNote understands. So those are the kind of things that you'll be looking for no matter what database you're in. This one makes it particularly easy because, like I said, the one company bought both companies. And so the default option here is to send it to your EndNote software. So I just wanted to point that out here so that as you're searching, you'll know that you can get it right into your software from the databases directly. Do you want to go back to PowerPoint?
Yeah, that's where your stuff is in there. So.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Oh, well,
yeah.
We've got, yeah, I mean, I can briefly talk about that, I guess. Or,
okay.
So we have a couple of ebook collections, and ebooks appear in our catalog. So if you're doing a search in the UT or Ohio Link catalogs, ebooks will appear in there. But if you go into the actual, the database itself, there are some features that that are unique in there. So if we just do this mechanical engineering, and you get things like Mark's Standard Handbook for Mechanical Engineers, Handbook of Mechanical Engineering Calculations. So, and then across the top here, there are, so this is, giving you everything that matches mechanical engineering. But then there are like case studies. So 6 of those apparently. And there are spreadsheets. So 67. So and then you can download this this spreadsheet out of this database.
I think those are particularly useful. This database is primarily reference books and textbooks, but just reading on the page what equation it is that you want to use is not as useful as being able to just download a spreadsheet, fill in the cells that you need, and be able to apply it immediately.
Does this give us access to like a full raw hill textbook then for this database, or is it?
It does. Let's see if we just go into the books, you can see. Does it? It's like each chapter is its own PDF. So this is a chapter you have to download. So you can't download the entire book. You just like download a chapter, or we can just read it online.
Is it only like certain McGraw-Hill textbooks then, or is it kind of like a good chance that a majority of them are out?
I would say it's a good chance that majority of them are in there, but this one is just McGraw-Hill. So they used to be part of the other one that I'm going to talk about next, but they decided they wanted to have their own database of ebooks. So, and then there's this citation in here, so you can download it RIS again, like for EndNote. So then if we go back here to novel, so same sort of thing. This novel takes books from multiple publishers. They used to have McGraw-Hill things, but that's part of Access Engineering. But they have, I said, books from a variety of publishers, and you can search for them in here. There is a material property section here, so you can search for chemical properties, dimensional properties, fiber properties, various sorts of material properties. There is a unit converter here, so if you want to convert from one unit of measurement to another, you can do that in here. These are some equations, so if you're looking for some mechanical engineering, so it's got fluid dynamics, you've got so you've got the calculation for how to do that there that you can use. There's this My Novel, which you have to have an account with them, so, and that's a free account you can set up, My Novel. And once you have that, there is a My Novel app for your phone. And if there's a book that you think you would want to use, when you're away from your computer, you can save it to your My Novel account, and then you can bring it up on your phone through that app. And that's something that only Novel has, that particular capability. So I think now is the time to go into EndNote.
Okay. So I'm going to be doing less on the computer just because EndNote is a program that's best used if you download it. There's the online version. The online EndNote web is pretty limited, both in its interface and what you can do. The full experience you get by downloading it. So this is a nice overview of kind of what you can do with EndNote. And you don't need to use all of this, but the basic is you can collect citations in EndNote, and then you can cite them in a paper. So if you go right from the beginning to the end, it's get things into your database and then get things out of the database in the right formats. So EndNote has outputs that match most of the, well, all of the major like society dictated citation formats, but also customized ones that are used by specific journals. So you can go into EndNote, when you install it the first time, it'll download about 400 separate styles to be your default styles that you can just choose from. But you can always go to the EndNote website, look up the name of your journal, and download the citation style for that journal. So let's talk about a little bit of what you can do. So you can collect citations from a variety of ways. We've talked a little bit about how you would get it from a database like Google Scholar, Web of Science, etc. You can download those right into your EndNote, but you can also import from saved PDFs. So we haven't been here to talk to you for a couple years, so you might have a whole folder full of PDFs on your computer that you just want to get the citation information into EndNote. You can point your EndNote program at that folder. It'll find everything that's a PDF, and it'll basically OCR scan the first page to find if it has a DOI, a digital object identifier, and then it uses that string of numbers to fill in your citation for you. So that's perfect, because then you have the PDF and the citation too.
Sorry, do you mind showing how does that work?
I only have screenshots, but I'll show you kind of where you would look for that. You can also add them manually if it's some strange format, but most things I can find either in a database, in my own PDF, or just look on Google Scholar. And in Google Scholar, right next to where it says the number of times it's been cited, there's a little double quote mark. If you click on that, it'll show you an option to import an EndNote. Or you can go to your Google Scholar settings, and in the settings, you can say my default is EndNote, and so it'll just show a button under every citation in Google Scholar that says import this into EndNote. Important to know that when you import citations from databases, you're just importing the citation information, not the full text. So you can either, at the same time, download the PDF and then attach it to the record in your EndNote database, or there is some capability for it to go through your EndNote database and look for the full text out on the web and then automatically attach it. It'll look through 250 at a time, so I recommend just selecting all of the new things that you added and then telling it to go look for those and attach the full text, and then come back to see how many it was successful for. There's also that little find it button that was in our databases that helps you connect a citation to what UT has a subscription to. You can customize your EndNote so that it has an open URL link that will open up that screen on your web so that you can go from your EndNote to searching the web specifically for that. This is another optional thing that you can do, but you can take notes. There's a PDF viewer built into EndNote that allows you to highlight things or put little sticky notes on the PDF. There's also some empty fields in the database called research notes or labels, and those are always empty, so you can make up your own system of labeling your things and putting that right in your database. All of that can be searchable from EndNote. So when you search your library, you're searching all of the citation information, all the stuff that you added, but if you've attached a PDF, it actually indexes the PDF as well. So you can do full text searching. In a lot of our databases, Google Scholar being the exception, but like Web of Science, it doesn't have the full text. So you don't know if every article that you have mentioned a certain, Bernoulli's equation or something. But if you go in here and I have a PDF attached, you can find all the PDFs that mention a specific word. And then cite in your paper is best shown with, see if, okay, next screen. Wasn't sure if this would do that for me, but looks like not. So here's what it actually looks like. This is the most recent version, EndNote 20. When you download from the IT website, you'll see usually the current and the previous version. They'll have it for Mac and for PC. Download the current one. When you install it, you will probably almost immediately have to update because it downloads the base version, EndNote version 20.0.0. Right now we're at 20.4, I think. So it'll then immediately ask you to update it with the newest update from there. But you can see it kind of looks like an email reader. You've got your folders here on the side. You've got, instead of messages, you've got all of your citations, and then there's preview panes. And so you can preview it either as a summary, which just shows you how it would look if it was cited in the style that you've chosen. You can edit it from here, or you can show the PDFs for anything that you've attached a PDF to. So just like an email, you can see if there's a paperclip here, it means I've attached the PDFs to those. I can change what fields are shown up here, but no matter which fields are shown, this search box here will search all of my fields for me. Some of the folders are created automatically, depending on what you've done in the program. So it will show you the last batch that you imported into EndNote. It creates a folder for that. Recently added is anything that was added the same day that you're working in. And then unfiled is anything that is not in a group. You can see that there's a trash can. Things don't get deleted from there, but they don't appear in all references if they're in the trash. That way, if you need to go back for them. In this, I've created two groups that I've just created to show you that you can move things and add your own organization to it. And you can create multiple group sets. So this one I've called to keep. I could have one that I don't want to keep or something. And then finding full text is this option right here. This is where you can go and up to 250, that's what I was saying. You select them, you tell it to go find full text. There is a guide to EndNote, to using EndNote here at UT. It is in the LibGuides, and I will make sure that that gets sent out with this presentation, or to add to your Blackboard course for this. This is the other end of it. This is step 6, citing it in a paper. It works best with Word products, so you can use it in Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint. It's kind of clumsy if you're using Google Docs, so it's really set up to integrate into Word. And you can see that once I've installed EndNote, it actually puts a new toolbar in my Word program so that I can do this. Wherever you would want a citation in your text, you would just click on Insert Citation, and you'll get a screen like this, where you can just start typing whatever would be in your citation. Alternately, if you are in EndNote and have the citation selected, you can just hit the double quote mark and it will go over to Word and put it wherever your cursor was in Word. So you can do it from either direction, from EndNote or from Word, because they're both going to be open at the same time. Once I've chosen one and click on Insert, it will just add it to my list of references at the end. And it chooses whichever style you're telling it to use. So in this case, I'm using the ASME style. If I'm using a particular journal, I can switch that over. ASME is a numbered style. So you can see that in ASME, each one gets a number, and then it just is in order that it is placed in there. If it's a style that doesn't use numbers, then it will automatically create the in-text citation with the author's last name and year. That's usually how they work. And then your reference list will automatically be sorted into alphabetical order by author. For numbered ones, if I do rearrange my paragraphs, it will rearrange and renumber all of my references for me. So that's really the power of EndNote, is so that you can concentrate on writing your paper and not keeping track of, have I already referred to this? Does this change a number that I've changed further down in my document, etc. So So yes, you can insert things directly, you can format it. And so if I wanted to change this, all I would need to do is change the style and say update citations and bibliography. If you do see anything that needs to be changed in the reference, just go correct it in EndNote, and it will correct it in all the papers that cite it. And so, so the whole point of us having the software is so that you don't have to worry so much about your citation styles. EndNote will take care of that for you. I also just use it as a database so that I don't walk around with printouts or have on my hard drive somewhere a bunch of folders with PDFs that I don't know quite what is in those. So you will want to go and visit the EndNote website library guide. So I'm just going to pop over here real quick. I don't know if it's linked in our PowerPoint, but from the library's homepage, you can come right to our LibGuides. And then my colleague maintains a guide to EndNote library management. That's where you will find the link to download it. It's just from the same place where you update your password. Just look for software downloads on the right-hand side, and you can download it there. Lots of good tips for this. But you'll also see down here that I have instructional videos from this. And so I take each kind of step of the process kind of outlined on my first slide. You know, getting started, what you want to do to customize it to UT, and then how do you get references in, how do you add full text, how do you organize it, and how do you insert it. So each of those is a separate video. They're all about 5 to 8 minutes long, so you can just concentrate on the ones that you want to learn about on that day. But this LibGuide will kind of have all of the stuff relating to EndNote and UT. Sorry, I couldn't show you a live demo, but since it doesn't involve downloading and installing the software, I can't really do that on the classroom computers.
Thank you. I have a few questions. So one is, always we have this problem. You follow that style of that journal, and then just about to publish, they come back and say, oh, some of your references do not follow that format. So what's the best practice to avoid that?
So sometimes the journal will say that we use ASME style, but they use some modification of it. So I would, before submitting, go to endnote.com, and there's a download section there, and just type in the name of the specific journal. And that way, if they have a variant of the style that they have let EndNote know about, it'll have that. If it's not that, and they can tell you what doesn't fit their style, you do have a tool where you can start with a style and go and edit how it appears. So for example, if they say, no, we want the DOI at the end of every citation, you can go into their generic citation in that style and save a modified version where you've inserted the DOI. If you have any problems, if you want any help editing a style, feel free to email me, and I'd be glad to consult with you on that. It'll just create a new file, a new EndNote style ENS file that you can just save on your computer, and then it'll appear in your list of ones that you can do. So yeah, so if they claim to use a certain style and then they tell you, well, that doesn't look the way we did it, your two options are either to modify the style that is the base of that style, or also go to endnote.com first and just see if they have a specific one. You just look up the name of the journal, and then you can download it and apply that one instead.
So my second question was, let's say you're working on your thesis or a review article, you have like 250 citations, right? So what's the best practice to avoid or catch those duplicates? It's hard for you to really figure it out or just check one by one. But if you happen to forget to basically insert that to your EndNote 2 times, then it's going to duplicate. How do you catch those?
Yeah, so I deal with this all the time because I search multiple databases and pull all the references into EndNote, but I might have found the same article in different places, so I've got duplicates in my EndNote library. You can actually, under tools, there is find duplicates in library. It's whatever folder you're in, it will look for duplicates. The default is, does it have the same author, title, and publication name? But often those will differ depending which source you came from, especially the publication name and the pages. But you can go to your preferences and say, no, I consider a duplicate if it has the same title and year, for example. When you do that, it'll bring up a screen where I kind of call it, there used to be a website called Hot or Not, where they would show, you have to say yes or no. So it'll show both versions of what it thinks is a duplicate, and you tell it which one to keep, and then the other one gets moved to your trash. Or if you have a long list of them, you can actually just escape out of that screen, and it will show you a list where every other one is highlighted. So it'll basically highlight half of what it considers to be pairs of duplicates, and then you can just hit delete to delete those. So that's what I do because I work with very large data sets. I just go through that list, confirm based on title, and look at the page numbers that it is actually the same thing, and that'll get rid of them. Now, if you want to do that before you start typing it into your paper, because once it deletes it from your library, if that's the version that you were citing, it no longer has that. If you already have it in your paper, the best way to do this would be to sort it by title. And then you can quickly look through the authors to see if you see a doubled author, that's probably a duplicate, and you can correct it there. The good thing is if you have started a paper, one of the automatic folders that it will create is all of the references from your library that are cited in that paper. So you can only look through the ones that are in your paper and see very quickly, these are the references I've used, and I can see if any of them were duplicates. If they were, you would want to decide which one you're going to use, go back to the paper, make sure you're always citing that, that version of it. Okay?
Yes, question. Just assume that I already set up my own library and by folders name and everything, and now I want to transfer to EndNote and create the same group, same folders, same name. Is it possible?
Yes, so that import from folders, you can check off there to import subfolders as well. And what it will do is it will recreate your folder structure in the My Groups. And it'll, as it imports things, it'll create a group with the name of your folder and put in the PDFs that were in that particular one. So it will recreate that. What you may then want to do is to go to each folder, and then under the tools, you can say apply to everything in this folder the label whatever, and that way it's associated not with the record itself. So even if it gets moved to another place, you've labeled it the way that you want to. And so as long as it's a PDF that has a DOI on the first page, it will be able to pull in that citation information. If it tries to pull it in from a PDF that you have and can't identify the citation, it will still attach the PDF and it'll just give it a generic title of whatever the file name was. And then you can go in and edit that so that it matches the actual citation. Yeah?
Questions for Dr. Lee, Dr. Napp? Any questions? I'm going to ask. So let's say there's a document that you're working on, and your advisor sent it to you, but he doesn't have that EndNote basically in his system. So whenever he goes and deletes a sentence that has a reference, then it basically messes up the EndNote. So what is the best practice to basically avoid that? it becomes pretty messy when you try to delete something. It's crossing all of the references and then inserting it again, especially when you use the track changes.
Yeah, so one thing to do would be in the Word document, you can see how it says update citations and bibliographies or convert citations and bibliography. You can make it more obvious by converting them to unformatted references and then just work with that. You'll see basically the curly brackets with a number in it where the reference would go. And the next time that you open it and then click format my citations, it will look for those references in yours. And if it doesn't find it, it will give you a list of possible references that it could be. So it makes it a little bit easier to reinsert. The other thing would be if it's kind of final edits, you can convert it all to just plain text and basically freeze your document so that it's no longer linked to your EndNote library. And that just basically converts it all to just dumb text. And so if they delete something from there, they can delete it from the end. The only problem will be if you cite the same thing in more than one place, deleting the sentence and the internal reference if they go then and delete it from your references, not realizing that you've actually cited it later on. Now, if they do have the ability to have EndNote, even kind of an EndNote, if they have any version of EndNote, you can sync your library to the cloud. I recommend people do that anyway. And then you can share your library with another person just by using their email. And then basically it syncs yours to the cloud and it syncs theirs to yours. You can only share one library per EndNote account. And so if you are working on multiple projects, if all of your different libraries are being synced to the same online account, pretty soon they will all sync up to each other and they will all look the same. So what I recommend is if people are going to be sharing a library with someone else and they want to keep it separate, either have someone else share a blank library with you and then you put all of your references in it because they are sharing it and so they are the owner. And then you become the one shared with. The other option that I recommend and that I use myself is just create multiple EndNote accounts. They're just based on your email address. So if you, for example, if you have a Gmail address, say mine's wadematthewlee@gmail.com, if you put a plus after your username and anything else, it's considered a sub-account of your Gmail address. EndNote treats it as a whole new email address, but all of the emails and confirmations go to the same place. So I've just created sub-email addresses from my Gmail one to create new EndNote accounts to create unique web versions of my libraries to share with people.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to consult with anyone. I use WebEx and Calendly, so if you just email me, I'm glad to set up a time that we can both meet. The only thing about my email is it's wade.lee. There is no Smith in my email address. So.
Yeah, we have a shared folder, and I'll put your emails and documents both of them over there. So guys, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, we.
So guys, if you have a sign, it's here. Yeah, yeah.